Are now. Are we live? It's 8. Okay, we
It
are now
says we
live.
are.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wars in the Stars. I'm here with my good friend Alex, otherwise known as Candy, in my van.
I fixed it. It's not canned in my van.
Yes, you did. Today we're going to start to talk about my most anticipated Marvel project of Phase 4, and so far through one episode, most likely going to be my favorite. We're going to talk about Loki today, the God of Mischief. Alex knows how excited I have been for this show.
Yes,
And Alex, give me your non-spoiler thoughts right off the bat. By the way, if you haven't seen it, spoilers ahead. So
of course. I overall really liked it. I thought it was a really good season premiere. I didn't have many thoughts going into Loki. I know the point of the show is to fix the Avengers Endgame timeline problem, something that the directors and the writers can't agree on. So it's fixing that, and I will say, so from what they have given us so far, I'm liking the route that they're going. So yeah, I mean, so far I thought it was a really good first episode. I thought the end of the episode was honestly probably one of the most interesting parts of it. But I don't know. What do you think about it, Drew? What were your thoughts?
I think it's my favorite premiere out of the three Marvel Disney Plus shows. It did a great job of building this world known as the TVA or the TVA. By the way, quick shout out here. Portland did beat Scarborough 5-1. I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Don't know what
but
you're talking about.
Just know that this is the biggest upset of all time. That's an over exaggeration, but to continue.
I was gonna say, have you seen the WandaVision theories?
Yes, but yeah, I loved it. I really loved the world building it did with the TVA. I also really love something that they did that I want to touch on later, and I think it has more of a meaning than just on face value. But I also love what they did with the character of Loki. One of my things is I think Loki's character arc is great. He's kind of like his character arc is kind of like Anakin's to me. I mean, it's not similar, but it's kind of like bad guy becoming good, right? I think what they did with Loki's character and this specific variant, really interesting. Plus, it sets up a lot of stuff. And by the way, if you're watching this right now live or on YouTube, just me and Alex, we don't read the comics, or we haven't read many of the comics. Right.
I have, since I've gotten into Marvel for the last year, I think I've maybe read like a handful of comics.
Listen, I know some stuff, but this is just offhand. This is when I listen to people. So if we get something wrong, please tell us, because we want to be accurate on this channel, or at least try to be. So basically, Loki kind of sets up this storyline, maybe known as Secret Wars. It also definitely sets up Doctor Strange with the Nexus beings, and
not only that, it had a WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness references. Right. So of course the Nexus, when Miss Minute is talking, and it literally says Multiverse and Madness in this, like almost in the same sentence.
Right.
So it's like it's almost guaranteed to be setting up Multiverse of Madness. Loki's probably going to have some connection. Which, I will say before I get into all that, this was by far, in my opinion, one of the most unnecessary shows for Marvel. I thought Infinity War wrapped up Loki's arc beautifully, especially coming off of Ragnarok. So when Loki kind of escaped with the Tesseract, it kind of felt like they were doing the Ahsoka Tano with Loki. He's just everywhere. You just can't get rid of him. So this was a show I was like, look, I'm going to watch it. I don't have very many expectations with them blowing me out of the water. The only thing I hope this show accomplishes is it gives us concrete answers to Avengers Endgame and its time travel.
I think this show... Oh, go ahead. Go
Oh,
ahead.
because
Go ahead.
all I was gonna say is even then, this show so far is making that time travel seem a lot more convoluted, even more with some of the things that Mobius was saying.
So before we jump into that, I just want to say I disagree with you. I think Loki is going to set up a lot. I think Loki is going to set up Doctor
No, no, no.
Strange.
I think it
Oh,
is too. But what I was saying was I was calling this unnecessary in the fact that Loki's story should have died in Infinity War. He died. He's dead. Stop bringing characters back to life.
well,
Um,
technically he's not back to life. This is a different variant,
well,
a
no,
different version of Loki.
you know what I'm saying.
I
I
know
don't
what you're
like
saying.
he's dead. His arc has come full circle. He's an anti-hero who becomes a good guy. Sure.
Yeah.
But to me it was like what was the point of continuing his story past Infinity War because it becomes like Palpatine. Why bring him back? What is the point? Like yes, in story wise it makes sense. Like for Palpatine to come back, his connection to Rey and everything with Snoke and all that connected to Kylo. So from a story point it made sense, but it didn't make sense. If you know what I mean. From story perspective, it made sense that Palpatine was pulling the strings, but it didn't make sense not only from an outside point of view, but from an in-story point of view, like largely. So, and that's only if you watch the movies and maybe watch the TV series. Like, it didn't make sense. Of course, if you read the books, it was more heavily hinted at that he was still alive, but not everyone reads the books. And to me, with the Marvel and this Loki series, it was kind of just like, why bring Loki back? Obviously, now we know he's going to have connections to WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, that's where I'm like, he's Palpatine for me. Like I think you said it in our TikTok or Discord DMs. This whole he's like Palpatine. Like I think you were talking about the Endgame time travel thing.
Oh yes, I said yeah. I don't understand it, and I think this made it more confusing for me.
Well, it kind of made it more confusing for me, but once I was able to like draw it out, it made more sense.
Okay, so I guess I disagree with that take about I don't because to me it's not the Loki we know. I mean, it is technically the Loki we know, but from past events. It's very confusing. All right, let's get into the timeline stuff. So, to me, I want to explain how I am interpreting all of this, okay? So, in the opening of the show, is it Miss Minute? Miss Minute, yes.
I think so.
Miss Minute, the clock, says that there was a multiversal war before. Yep. And they fought to the point where it almost destroyed everything. Until Timekeepers, correct?
Yeah, the 3 Timekeepers.
Who I will say look very similar to who I think is going to be the big villain of Phase 4, Kane the Conqueror.
Yep.
What is it? In the comics, I believe there is a Council of Kanes. I think that's what it's called. This is what I heard. People correct me if I'm wrong. I think that these timekeepers, I think one of them is Kane the Conqueror.
I mean, one of them looks like him.
And that judge in the comics is actually married to Kane the Conqueror.
Yep.
So I think Kane is involved somehow. But obviously, we have this, as they call it, the sacred timeline. Everything must follow this timeline. And I laughed. I'm like, so if you're an average person and you mess up, you get arrested, you get disintegrated like that dude did.
Yeah.
We saw that dude. So right now, me and Alex could be breaking the timeline, and you just see one of us.
Right. And that's the thing is Endgame and the time and what that set up from what the Ancient One explained, and what she explained and how the Loki series is going, they are not adding up. Like, Drew, I think you are cutting out here, but Drew, oh boy. I think we have technical difficulties. Oh, dear. Oh, there you are.
Its StreamYard crashed, I guess. So that sucks. Okay. Well, continue with what you were saying.
Okay. So the way the Ancient One explained it is the timeline can only break if an Infinity Stone is taken out of its place of importance. So, for instance, let's say the Tesseract was taking away from the end of the Avengers when Thor and Loki go back to Asgard with the Tesseract. So the way we were explained to it is because the stone was taken out of its timeline, and now a new branch timeline where the Tesseract is gone now exists, and now the main timeline doesn't have that stone anymore. So the way that I've been trying to think about it is, say that there's this red straight line right here.
Right. That's our timeline.
That's the sacred timeline. So
Okay.
when Loki takes the Tesseract, it opens up a branch right here.
Correct.
So it only starts at one branch, but
Right.
then other
It could
branches
spiral off. Right.
then other branches open up. And then what will eventually happen is there's this little bar up here and down here, and that if they ever reach up here, other timelines will form. Other realities will open up. So what this show is most likely going to be about now is Mobius has basically shown Loki his life. He's either destined to be reset and go back to 2012 to live out his life how we see it in the MCU, or help the TVA take down this other variant Loki, which is most likely Lady Loki, and basically that's all he's meant to do. So it's hard to explain. I'll explain to you more when we're off camera because it is a lot to go into. But especially because Endgame and Loki basically try to tell us the same thing, but they have different principles.
Yeah.
Like because with Loki or with Endgame again, the Ancient One says if a stone is taken out of its proper place, then branch timelines happen. But the way that Loki explains it is if anything is taken out of its major event, then a new timeline will form. So
yeah.
The basic way to put it, let's put it in this term. Let's say if 9/11 is about to happen, but then all of a sudden the Twin Towers are missing. Now a different branch reality would be created because the two towers aren't there. So it's like that if let's say those towers weren't built or whatever,
Yeah.
a new timeline would form.
So here's my thing. Okay, we are told in this episode that what what the Avengers did, time traveling was supposed to happen.
It was supposed to happen,
which is not presented in Endgame. I will say that.
Nope, definitely not. Because
my other question is,
yeah.
if the whole purpose of them was to go back in time at Endgame, then Loki taking the Tesseract technically then wouldn't be a violation because that's how it plays out in the timeline. In the
Yeah.
timeline, Loki takes it.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing: is that in the original way that that timeline was
I don't know.
supposed to happen.
I don't even. I'm so confused already. I don't know.
Okay, so in that original timeline where Tony gets the stone,
Right.
he was just supposed to grab it and go, but something happened where Hulk busted it open and caused a ripple. And when I showed you, here, let me go to another part of this paper. So with this timeline right here, with the straight line red timeline, the sacred timeline, when another opens and then more open, basically what happens is eventually it's either going to hit this top line, or what's going to happen is the paths are going to cross, and that means
Right.
That means now two branched realities will be intertwined.
Okay, so we've kind of gone through that. So the other thing, the multiverse technically, by the way they explain it, doesn't exist because there is just the one timeline. But in Doctor Strange, we are told, or the Ancient One says, Stephen Strange, or something along these lines, Stephen Strange, who are you in this vast multiverse? So it's like, it's very confusing to me. I just, I don't get it. Like, and I understand what you're saying about the line. Are you getting that line from that little thing that Mobius is looking at, or one of the
Yeah. So
right.
So the way the officer was trying to say is like, hey, this fugitive is getting us closer and closer to that line, where the sacred timeline will no longer be just one straight line. It'll branch out into three different lines.
Right.
Is because the three people held it together. So I would assume just three different timelines would open up.
Yeah.
So this is how I'm understanding this whole thing.
So I have another question.
Okay.
So what about Thanos was technically brought into 2023, or was that supposed to happen? We're gonna say that's supposed to happen too? Thanos being brought in.
Well, the TVA didn't do anything about it, so we're just gonna assume it was. Because
okay,
and the reason why that I don't like how Loki's already going about it is because guess what? Now there is a timeline where Thanos and the Black Order just don't exist. They're not dead. They just don't exist. They were snapped away. And a lot of them weren't snapped away. They were actually just killed. Leviathans were killed. Chitauri were killed. So they're dead. They are on Earth 2023 in the Earth 99999 timeline. So the way that Loki is basically saying is the way that I've seen it is through the timeline. Basically, what's going to happen is eventually, like those events that Loki now takes away of the Tesseract being in Odin's vault. Oh my god, it crashed again. Oh my gosh. Oh,
all right, we're good.
There we go. There we go. I was about to message you real fast.
StreamYard is really bad. I don't know why. It's not my internet, but it's weird.
So I don't know. The way that I'm seeing it is that it's just is that in the multiverse. Again, it's a weird thing because we're told that the multiverse basically was just put together into one timeline. So the way that I think Loki's going to have to go is that this Lady Loki variant is going to succeed in opening the multiverse back up. Because how do you open that back up if it's closed, according to the TVA? The other possibility is the TVA could just be lying. I
definitely think there's some bad corruption in the TVA, but
yeah, I mean, you have Mobius, who's trying to defend someone who just tried to conquer an entire planet. So it's like, it's because you think that they can help, but why? He's not at that point in his life where he wants to, and you kind of have just put him in the place of you're going to help, or we're sending you back to your timeline to die.
Well, I think Mobius's whole purpose was for him to see his whole life. He
Yeah,
knew it was gonna. I think his whole purpose was to show that like uh, Loki not necessarily became good, but that he was accepted. Loki's whole thing
yeah,
was exception,
yeah. I
being
mean,
accepted by others.
yeah. I mean, his whole thing was that he didn't feel like he was Thor's equal, even
Right.
though literally everyone else saw them as equals. Loki didn't. Um, which it's a sad story that Loki lives, but I feel like taking him out of that kind of hurts it because it's like, well, now he knows what happens. Now he's just gonna try to prevent it.
Well, one of the reasons I think the episode impresses me is because we get that development we see through the entire MCU in one episode. I really feel like Loki changes in an episode.
Oh yeah,
Like
I mean, you can see like he starts getting emotional at seeing his life unfold in front of him.
right.
Which at first he's in true and utter disbelief that he couldn't have led to Frigga's death.
Yeah.
But then he sees that he sees Frigga's death, he sees Odin's death,
Sees his death.
he sees his death. So it's like,
Which, by the way, is horrifying. I didn't even notice the snap of the neck. I'm like, did I miss that?
it's so loud. It was so loud.
I'm like, I don't remember it being that loud in the movie, but
Right. It's kind of quiet in the movie. It's just like it's like a simple
and then you
like
hear
little
the ship blow up. You hear the ship blow up behind, and we assume he turns into smithereens.
yeah, which is kind of funny because like if we assume that happened to Loki,
Glorious purpose.
that would have to mean that Thor's right on top of him. So how would Thor survive?
Because he's the god of thunder, obviously.
Wow.
These things don't need questions answered to. I know we're fanatics about it, but these things don't need questions.
But see, that's the thing. That's like saying, oh, Anakin Skywalker can survive anything because he's the chosen one.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just convenience. Like it's very convenient that the sacred timeline said that the Avengers should do something that the Avengers thought they couldn't do. Like time travel presented in Endgame, they're like, yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation if you get these Infinity Stones because you could screw everything up, and you basically did.
We see in the TVA timeline, or we see at the TVA, they just have a bunch of Infinity Stones.
Okay, I want to talk about this.
They have, like, you know what I noticed? They have a bunch of reality stones. So my whole thing is, it looked like they have. Well, we know they have the Tesseract now. So
right, but here's the thing. It doesn't become the reality stone until the collector has it.
Well, no. We see it in its stone form.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
Well,
so
no,
it's with.
Here's the thing. So they all were stones at first, but to preserve the reality stone, it was turned into the ether.
Okay.
So like how every stone kind of had a hard way to obtain it. Soul Stone, of course, on Vormir. The Mind Stone was in someone's head. The or in someone's scepter. The Tesseract or the Space Stone was in the Tesseract. The Ether was in, or the Reality Stone was the Ether. The Power Stone was in the Orb, and the Time Stone was in the Eye of Agamotto.
Right.
So they all had a sort of like case, so you couldn't just take the stones. So we have to assume that at some point, someone found the ether and turned it back into the reality stone, and the TVA was like, no, that's not allowed, and then brought them in. Like there are, like, again, I noticed, and I maybe I saw this wrong. There was a lot of reality stones.
There was a good amount of Power Stone too.
Yes. So theoretically, they have all of the stones, maybe other than the Soul Stone.
They had one.
Oh, well, it was an orangish yellowish one, and the Soul and Mind Stone look pretty similar.
I think it was the Soul.
I think it was the Soul too, but I've also talked to people and they think it was the Mind Stone.
Okay.
Um,
because the Soul Stone one would be weird because it's hard to find, and you have to you need to sacrifice.
Which could you imagine? You go through that entire effort to sacrifice someone. The TVA is like, "Yep, nah, we gotta take that from you and kill you."
Which brings up. So, what were you gonna say? Are you gonna say one of the TVA agents should just like go and like? snap his
No,
fingers? Is that what you were
no,
alluded to, or
I'm saying like theoretically they have all of the stones, so easily they could make Loki a gauntlet and be like, hey, we need you to come do this and have the time stone and
right? But
not like don't give Loki of all people 6 Infinity Stones. Give him like, hey, at this time you're gonna need the Space Stone and the Time Stone. I need you to go back to this place right now and rewind time to before this event happened.
right, but these stones are scattered all over the place, so they would need to find the 6 stones from one
Mm-hmm.
specific place, like one
Well, yeah,
specific timeline.
my
And I
whole
don't
what?
and I don't think they I think these are just all I'm like but I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's at least 20 of these in here. How many like different people tried to go after these at one point?
Well,
Like
we know Odin tried to go after the stones because he had an Infinity Gauntlet. He had an Infinity Gauntlet himself.
I think that's just a treasure. I don't think there's anything else to it.
Well, I don't because he had the Space Stone. He knew about the Reality Stone. Trying to think. There was another stone that he knew about.
Mind Stone, maybe?
No, I don't think it was the Mind Stone. Could have been either the. Could be the Power Stone that I'm thinking about. I don't know, but I mean, still. So we know Odin most likely went after the stones at one point.
Maybe.
But and the reason I say that at one point, and he probably just stopped and like got himself like maybe he 3D printed a gauntlet. He was like, you know what, I can't find these things, so you know what, we'll just make our own. Because if you look at Odin's gauntlet versus like the actual gauntlet, the stones aren't even in the right order. Like,
I don't think it matters where you put them.
I think it does.
You think so?
Which you know what I always think about. The Mind Stone was so small in Vision's head, and when Thanos pulls it out, it becomes so large. Like if you look at the gauntlet, I was always like, what stone would be that big to have a huge thing? And I was like when I first watched Infinity Stone or Infinity War, I was like, I don't imagine the Reality Stone would be that big. We've seen the Power Stone before. We've seen the Time Stone before. We saw the Space Stone earlier. I was like, what stone could be that big to need that big? I was like, the Soul Stone. It would make sense. It's a big sacrifice, so big stone. Big glowy rock. Nope, it's another small stone. And somehow the Mind Stone became this large.
It was just massive inside of Vision's head.
Right. Like, how far did that thing have to go in?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my whole thing is like, theoretically, man, they could make an Infinity Gauntlet and just start snapping away realities.
I saw some people upset about they feel like that just showing that like kind of undermined like the whole Infinity Saga. My take on it is it's to present to us that the multiverse and whatever we're setting up in Phase 4 is even more powerful than what we just saw. It's to be like Thanos is like a child compared to this. Thanos and the Infinity Stones are a child.
Yeah,
the
well,
TVA,
we know about characters like Galactus. We know about Mephisto. We know about Kang the Conqueror. We know we know they're lurking out there. So, we also have to take into consideration Eternals. I know Eternals probably don't have any major connection to Loki himself, but to think like, where have the Eternals been? What could have been such a large event? Yeah, on Earth. They have been on Earth during the Battle of New York, the battle with the Dark Elves.
They were just chilling.
The battle against Dormammu, Thanos in 2018.
Guardians, everything with the Guardians.
Right. Like what could be so important than half the universe disappearing? Now, yes, we could go into Theoryville about, maybe their minds were wiped by Sprite or whatever her name is. Sprite? I don't know. So, yeah, we could go into that. But to think, like, could we see a big-time player like Kang the Conqueror? What if he's in control and he's waiting for someone else from another multiverse to go get the last Infinity Stone?
Yeah, I don't think Kane is because I really think the TVA is run by Kane. I think that's my take.
I he has to. I don't think the TVA is a good organization
No, it's
because
presented as corrupt.
here's the thing: is again, why would the Avengers going back in time be a good positive thing, but Loki taking the space stone and misplacing it into Mongolia? Why would that be all of a sudden? Nope. Now we have new branch timelines that we need you to fix for us.
Yeah, I really think it's like Kane. Uh, just the timeline is for him to play,
Yeah.
and it's for him to get his opponents at its weakest possible moment, so he can
Right.
become
I mean,
ruler.
the whole thing though is like who's going to be this big overarching are we going to have that big overarching villain like we did for phases 1 to 3?
I think
Thanos
it's
was
Kane.
Thanos was the big overarching villain. Now we assume Marvel's going to go on for phases and phases and phases and phases.
Right.
So are we going to do another Thanos like thing? Because how can you go bigger than him? The only bigger person I can think is Galactus. And once you take down Galactus, what's left? What's left?
Right.
Mephisto, like, um,
Right. Okay. So let's actually touch on the devil that we see. Now, originally, I'm like Mephisto, and then I thought about it
mm,
more. Horns, Loki, the horns.
yep,
Uh, which so the way I interpret it is so the like a Loki variant is out there killing people, right? And I presume this is Lady Loki, like you do, because we see Lady Loki in the trailer.
mm,
Uh, uh, I will say this also: the TVA is really bad at their job. They literally,
yes,
they literally said there's oil on the ground, and they see a dude like just drop a light, just
oh,
drop a thing, and I'm like, you guys really. And what's really interesting is this figure, this Lady Loki or this Loki variant is taken these I don't know what do they call them, but then
the time resets.
the time resets. We see the time reset thing, and we see the Mongolian people looking at it, and they're shocked. I don't know what happened.
Mm.
Do you have any theories on that? Or
Well, we know literally all it does is reset the timeline of that area. So, like, the best way to put it is say like Loki brought the space stone somewhere.
yeah,
That area would have to be reset because um, now the
right,
timeline was altered in that area. So it'll be reset before the timeline break. Uh, which again, like once we're done on here, I'm gonna try to explain this the best that I can to you because again, it would be at least like a 45-minute like on here of trying to
I don't
explain
mind.
it.
I really don't.
But we have other things we do need to talk about. One of them that I want to talk about, you sent it to me on Discord. I saw it beforehand. Like someone had said, "Hey, I think I saw a
I
video on
had.
TikTok."
You want me to
Um,
pull it up? I have it.
yeah, go ahead. So it was basically Peggy Carter potentially spotted in Loki in the background.
Okay, here we
Now,
go. Here we go. I have it up currently. Okay, as we can see here, I'm gonna just go talk about it, talk
yeah,
people through it. So basically, Loki at this point is escaping. I think the TVA. I think this is, or he's using that thing,
yeah,
um, the time resetter, that or whatever it does. It sends you back in time. So as we can see here, we see a figure, a TVA agent, and we see somebody
that looks very much
that
like
looks
Peggy
like Peggy
Carter.
Carter.
Now, I want to say this before I hear your thoughts on it. Um, like the whole thing, like right there above it, Peggy Carter broke the timelines. Yes, she did. Um, she's not
Yeah,
supposed
that's
to
right.
marry. She's not supposed to marry Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers is on ice. Because again, with the Avengers time travel thing, what's supposed to happen is we're not supposed to have two people or two things in the same timeline. So that's why the Infinity Stones don't work in the TVA because it's basically outside of space and time. So of course things like the Time Stone and the Space Stone aren't going to work. Where are you going to go? So or really any of the stones. So the thing is now in this universe where Steve traveled back in time, now there's two Steve Rogers in there. And you know, hopefully with this series, we are going to get answers of how Steve not only put the stones back, but lived out his life with Peggy Carter. Because again, how are you just
Well,
going to
I
live
don't think he did.
when we know he did? He can't.
Oh, technically, yeah.
We know that he lived his life out
So
with Peggy. But here's the thing: is like, how do
maybe
you
the
keep?
maybe the TVA let it happen, man. Maybe that was a part
But
of they were like
but again, why would that be allowed? Because
because the
if you think,
TVA said so.
but yeah, if you think about it, now there's two Steve Rogers in that timeline. So if there's two Steve Rogers, and as Steve Rogers is missing, not dead, missing in another timeline, what are you gonna do about that? That's
The
definitely
TVA the
brand
TVA was busy.
Yeah, I guess they were busy busting Peggy Carter, not Steve Rogers.
They got the wrong person.
Right. It was Peggy
I
who obviously traveled back in time.
I'm I'm really gonna say this. I think it's just a fun Easter egg.
Eh,
That's all it is. Just a background
if
thing.
you want my honesty, I don't think it's Peggy. I also think it's like I think it's maybe like a little like ha 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 like funny. Like maybe it looks a little bit like Haley Atwell, but I don't think it's her.
I don't think it's her either. But I think it's just a funny like if you see it, you see it. But like it does look a lot like her.
Right. What if we see her in a future episode banging on
Oh,
the
this
cell?
is
You got the
gonna
wrong person. You got the
yeah.
wrong person. I didn't do it. Like, could you imagine her reaction to seeing Steve? Like, what would Steve even say? Like, okay, so for the next like 60 years or so, I'm on ice, right? So then I get unfrozen. Then there's the Battle of New York. A man named Loki tried to tried to invade us. So then we stopped him, and then you know, Shield, your company, it actually was invaded by Hydra. So then,
Yeah.
so then we had to go on these big events. Then we had to fight some guy named Ultron that Tony Stark made. You know, Howard Stark's son. Her jaw's just on the floor, like, what are you saying right now? And then, oh, some guy named Thanos got these 6 pretty stones and then snapped half the universe away. So now I'm back from 70 years, or no, from like 80 years in the future right now. And I want to live my life out with you now. Are you married by chance? Because we know that she gets married.
Right. What also creates a mess because I assume that Steve has kids with her.
That's the thing is, how was he able to hide in that timeline for what, 50 years? Like we don't even know because super soldiers tend to age differently. So he could have lived with Peggy for 100 years and then came back to present day. So
Right. I don't know about this. Endgame created a lot of. Okay, I'm just. You know what? Endgame created a lot of weird things, and
look,
I don't.
Endgame is the reason why I'm happy Star Wars has not done time travel yet.
If they should never do it.
If Star Wars does time travel, I think it'll be even worse than this.
The World Between Worlds did a lot of crap.
The
Like
World
just
Between Worlds wasn't even time travel.
I know, but it created the speculation that I don't like.
Well,
Like you
Dave
know what I'm
Filoni
saying?
shot it down.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
how they're gonna erase the sequels by using.
being retconned. The sequel's
but
being retconned, even though we hear Rey, Maz Kanata, Kylo Ren. We hear all those people. They're going to be retconned. Trust me. My friend of a friend of a friend has a source.
Yeah, I got better sources than them. By that I have 0 sources at
Right.
Lucasfilm. Wink, wink.
Right.
No, I don't have any. But
Is all of them.
Yeah, my
you
source.
You actually write and direct the episodes.
I do. My source is Kathleen Kennedy. I'm good friends with. No, yeah, Peggy. I think it's just if you see it, you see it. But
right.
I kind of want to get. You know what is really funny? Loki is DB Cooper. I thought that was really funny.
I love that tie-in. Like we knew from the trailer footage that
Yeah.
We knew that that's what it was going to be about, but he was actually him. Like he was Cooper.
I'm gonna
So
tell
that
my kids that. I'm gonna tell my
right,
kids
like it
that
was
DB
it was
Cooper.
just Loki. It was just crazy old
Somebody said
Loki.
somebody said on Twitter that they would love a show with young Thor and Loki and them doing stupid bets and them
Right.
going from.
Here's the thing: is like now that makes me look at Thor differently. Oh my gosh, Thor sent Loki to Midgard to be this guy, but he also sent Loki there to threaten a plane with a fake bomb. Like Thor, what are you doing there,
I don't
bro?
think I don't know if Thor necessarily did that. Maybe Loki was just like, hey,
Thor was a different person back then.
yeah, well, yeah.
So
Odin's an awful parent. I was just gonna say that.
is Frigga any better?
She had a good speech in Endgame. That's about it.
I mean, so did Odin in Ragnarok.
I love you, my sons.
Well, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about his talk with Thor before he
Oh,
hits Hela with the biggest
you the
lightning
god of
bolt.
hammers?
No, I love that little banter with Thor and Loki on the bridge. Hit her with another bolt of lightning. I just hit her with the biggest bolt of lightning in the history of lightning.
No, but I will say, I guess I don't know what else. So, uh, I was trying to figure out the significance of these like these places that Lady Loki went to.
Yeah,
Um,
but I would also like to see a lot more of the locations.
she went to a farm in Oklahoma, which is not a, which is very random.
Especially like 18, wasn't it like 1800s Oklahoma too?
It's just like Oklahoma on a farm, and then
Here's the
she went to
thing.
France.
Here's the thing. Oklahoma in general is a very boring place. Why Oklahoma?
Yeah, she went to France. That makes more sense. The 1500s, they were more
And then,
popular then.
by all technicality, she should be breaking the timeline because she gave someone something that doesn't exist for like another 200 years or like 300 years.
And it seems like she's repeatedly done this because they say run it for like test it or whatever. So it seems like Lady Loki's repeatedly done this.
Like, here's the thing: is like, I would love to see how they explain how Loki is a woman in this timeline. Like we know Loki is gender fluid. They revealed that in the
Right.
end. In the end,
Which is
like credits.
which is okay. I'm just gonna say this. That's cool, right? He is gender fluid. Loki is gender fluid in the comics, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's that in the comics.
He's presented as a male in uh this show and throughout the MCU. They call him he. So it's gonna be very interesting if they want, because here's my thing: if they want to do the gender fluid thing, that makes sense. That could be cool. It's almost like a Shazam thing, where like Shazam's like a boy and like a grown man, but like, but like almost how like Loki is uh gender fluid. So yeah, like you're saying, what's up with that?
Right.
How are they gonna? Because if everything plays out the same, then how did Odin have a girl
Right.
besides Hela?
Well, no. Odin doesn't have a girl.
Oh,
Laufey has a
sorry, Laffy.
girl,
Yeah,
which is funny because like normally he like the Asgardians they go by like Odin's son or Laufey's son. No, you're just Laufey. Like
yeah,
you don't get Laufey's last name. You're just Laufey. You're just Odin
yeah.
or you're Loki Laufey. It's just you notice how boring it sounds next to Laufey son or Lofi son Laufey. I don't know, but it's like I don't know. I mean, the whole gender fluid thing it caught me off guard until I like did some research. I was like, I think that'd be a cool retcon, you know, be more inclusive. But like, I didn't know he was that in the comics. I know there are a lot of superheroes who are like pansexual, like Deadpool's pansexual.
I just don't know how you. I don't know how you present that in a movie or television show, because then you would have to have like two actors. You know what I'm saying? If you were to be like, or yeah, like
I
that.
mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it was a cool inclusion to have him gender fluid, but I don't know. It is weird because he's referenced as a male a lot. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe
he.
maybe Loki's pronouns are they he. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
gonna be interesting how they explain Lady Loki. I don't know
It
how they're
is
gonna do that
because you know I would
because
be
the
down
team.
for the explanation of like, oh, well, the multiverse in another multiverse, Loki's a woman. Okay, well that makes sense. But the TVA told us that there is no multiverse because the TVA basically tied them together.
Prevents it, their job is to prevent a multiverse of madness situation.
Mm-hmm.
So do we think Lady Loki is the catalyst for Doctor Strange too?
I mean, here's the thing: is I don't even think she's the villain of the show. I think she's the anti-hero of the show.
Do you think
I
Kane the Conqueror is the
I
overarching
think
villain?
Kane's gonna show up in this show, which
I Makes
I mean,
sense.
again, I know he wasn't confirmed for the show or anything, but you know, I'm all for potentially a surprise. Hopefully, this time we don't get any Paul Bettany treatment with WandaVision, like WandaVision, but
Right.
I think they've learned not to. Falcon and the Winter Soldier had a cameo that was going to blow people's socks off, and no one knew who it was. I
Oh, well,
I
I knew it was.
remember
I
I
knew who
remember that episode when it came out. I
I
remember
knew who
going
that
to TikTok.
I knew who the actor was, and I was
Yeah,
like,
well, no,
and then
they were like it's a major character from the comics who everyone's gonna recognize. Bro, I went to TikTok and everyone was like, "Who was the cameo?"
no, I knew that was the cameo, but they messed that all up. They were like, I would
They
like to see this character with Thor. I'm
Yeah,
like,
why with what is Val done to be like? She would be interesting with Thor.
so
Nothing.
odd.
Which
I will say,
thankfully,
I will say, out of the Star Wars and Mandalorian and Clone Wars,
mm,
Mandalorian and Clone Wars, the first two Star Wars shows on Disney Plus, were better
yeah,
than the first two Marvel shows. Not even
absolutely.
close. The Mandalorian is better than WandaVision and Falcon. It's not even close.
Mandalorian is better than almost half of the MCU. Uh,
Probably, yeah.
yeah, I mean, um, when it comes to
But I will say
Disney
Loki's
Plus
Loki's
TV,
going to be. I don't think Marvel's perfected it. I think they've done a not a great job.
here's the thing: is my thing is this, okay? I am someone who thinks that like, hey, um, don't overhype your stuff. That's why there was no overhyping for a cameo in the Mandalorian. There was no hype for it because they didn't say anything about it, which was
Well,
smart. Because then then guess what happens? Then we have the reactions like Star Wars theory's reaction to Luke Skywalker, and everyone
right,
else's reaction to people crying.
right.
Not even being
I
able to
cried.
like comprehend
I
what's
cried.
happening. Like, you had a lot of people who had their faith restored in Disney with Star Wars because of that scene with Luke. Like, maybe the CGI on his face wasn't perfect, but guess what? He had a badass hallway scene. So
Who
who
cares?
cares? Like, are you gonna remember that scene for him taking Grogu or for him mowing down the Dark Troopers? You
Dark
remember it for the
Troopers.
Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
Like,
Time and time again.
right. So thankfully, Loki hasn't promised any major cameo. We haven't had Tom Hiddleston going around saying, this is an actor I'd really like to work with, or I'm super excited to work with, and it's just himself. Like,
That show was
no.
infuriating. The more I look at it, I'm like, that show.
I like WandaVision. Like, if we ever get to do our rankings on here with WandaVision and eventually Loki, WandaVision for me places it near the middle. And that's because of the
Probably, yeah.
last. That's because of how intriguing the show was at first. But then once I realized that, like, the show kind of didn't feel like it knew where it wanted to go. Like, it didn't. It at many times felt like it didn't know if it wanted to make Wanda the villain or Wanda the hero or an anti-hero. It kind of just felt like, well, in this episode, she's the good guy. In this episode, she's actually the bad guy. In this episode, we actually want you to hate her. Then in the next episode, we actually want you to feel bad for her.
Not a big fan of Catherine Hahn's character either. The
I
villain.
loved Agatha. What are you talking about?
I mean, Agatha was like good, but like, yeah, I think they could have done more.
We know she has to be coming back. We know she has to be coming back.
Okay.
I mean, literally just because of how WandaVision ended. She didn't kill her, put her in the raft or anything.
Well, we do know
trapped her in Westview.
We do know that show was supposed to have more. Like Doctor Strange was supposed to show up.
Yeah,
those commercials were from Strange.
Yeah,
we know that rabbit was supposed to be a devil. It was supposed to become a devil, and the kids were supposed to chase it. And I will say, probably my biggest disappointment with that show is bringing in Quicksilver, Evan Peters, to play Pietro, and you make a boner joke out of it.
Hey. It was a thing of like when it first happened, it was like, oh, ha, ha, that's actually really.
I didn't
funny.
even laugh. No, I didn't.
No, I was like, I was literally like, when I was watching the episode, I was like, oh, that's really funny. Wait, that's it? Because then he didn't like show up for the rest of the episode. I was like, really? Nothing?
Yeah, they gave him X-Men Apocalypse, or not Apocalypse. Is it Last Stand? I can't remember.
I watched Days of Future Past, and that's it.
Yeah. Just watch Logan.
Every scene that Peter was in for Days of Future Past was easily the best scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah.
I do plan on watching the rest of them. I'm waiting for Dark Phoenix to go on Disney Plus so I can watch them all. I just hear that like if I'm thinking the MCU's time travel timeline makes no sense, I've heard nothing but bad stuff about the X-Men timeline.
Oh yeah, it's Magneto and
I mean, I'm about to watch like I want to go through and watch a bunch of like Marvel branded movies like Deadpool and whatnot. Like
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, no. I watched the one with Chris Evans. I watched the first one with him. I like it. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was anything like groundbreaking or anything.
I haven't seen him. To be honest, I haven't.
I had the unpleasure of watching Fan Four Stick. I think I actually cried during the movie because of how bad it was.
Which one is that?
That's the most recent one that came out.
Oh, is that the one with Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
I heard that one's bad.
It's so bad, bro. Literally.
Isn't Doom the villain too?
It's so hard to pay attention to that movie because of how boring it is.
Really? Is it that bad?
Literally, all of the movies are under 2 hours, and it feels like you're watching them for 10 years.
Oh, okay. So I'm never going to watch those. Thank you for telling me that.
Okay, I think they're worth the watch, but I don't, like, if you're watching...
Oh, because you want to torture me. Yeah, there you go.
No. I'm thinking, like, my whole thing is, like, look, if you want to prepare for when Disney actually makes Fantastic Four, I think they're worth the watch. Like... Even though you're probably not going to enjoy them that much. I think just so you can know who we're going to be seeing, just so you can see like what their powers are and whatnot. I mean, I guess it's there, but it's crazy that, you know, we are how many years or whatever into Fox being obtained by Disney. We still have no mentions of mutants, no mention of the X-Men, no mention of the Fantastic Four and whatnot. So, like, one of the movies I'm about to get paid on Friday, and I'm going to be watching Into the Spider-Verse for the first time. That's a movie I'm really excited for. I hear it's one of the best in like Spider-Man project or things ever. So.
By the way, guys, if you're just joining us, this is a Loki podcast. I know Alex is
Sorry,
diverged.
This is a Marvel podcast, not a Loki podcast.
Well, we're talking about Loki, so
Loki connects to all this somehow.
Yeah, probably. There's a couple other things we want to touch on. I want to touch on Morbius a little bit, and we will save, I think, the best part of the episode. We will save the best part of the episode. We will save the best part of the episode for the end, which is Loki's reaction. Talk about Morbius a little bit. I'll go first. I love Owen Wilson. I think he was great in this. I really like how Morbius is like acts like an alpha to Loki. Like he's like, I know you. You don't know anything about me. I know you though. And I'm gonna get the answer out of you. And I love how he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take one of the most dangerous gods on the planet, or gods in the universe, and I'm just gonna use him. He's gonna use him. And the TVA is like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing that. And I think Morbius is not a good guy per se. He just does his job. That's my take on him. I don't think he's bad or good.
Bad
I think
boy.
he's just neutral. You think he's bad? Why do you say this?
Bad boy. Dude, who in their right, literally, Thor brings Loki to Earth because they're looking for Odin, and Doctor Strange is like, no. Literally, let's put this in comparison. Loki, basically, is a better person than when Morbius has him. Doctor Strange was like, yep, nope, I want him off my planet right now. Like,
Right.
go back to Asgard. Nope, I don't want you here with him. Basically reminding him like, New York was only 5 years ago, right? Like, Loki is standing on the grounds of New York, probably not even but 4 blocks away from Avengers Tower,
Right.
where he lit a portal to let the Chitauri in.
I think that's pretty cool if I'm gonna be honest.
But and we see
It's not
Strange.
cool for us people on Earth, but I mean,
we see Strange like, look, you can go get your father, but then you're all going back to Asgard immediately after. But Morbius in this state with Loki, who just tried to take over an entire planet, he's just like, he can help us, right? And that's where I'm getting these like sus vibes of him. Like, if you know how his story plays out, then you know that Doctor Strange will eventually come in contact with Thor and Loki, basically saying to F off and go back to Asgard, because Loki's here. So it's like, why is he all of a sudden thinking a man who just tried to take over a planet? Why does he think that he can do something good with his life?
because this variant of Loki is a better person than the variant that's trying to kill everyone.
I don't know about that. I mean, again, like, look at
Loki
how
is not okay. Loki is not. Loki is a bad person, but his intentions aren't to just kill everyone because he wants to kill everyone. He's not that type of villain.
Well, no,
He
I mean,
is
this episode went into that. He went into that. He doesn't want to kill people. He's basically been taught that that's what he has to do, so that he doesn't feel like
well.
a
He
bottom of
hasn't
the
been
barrel
taught.
person.
He hasn't been taught, but his childhood has
He's taught
presented him.
himself that. He's taught
His
himself
child,
that that's what he needs to do.
right. Well, his childhood has been presented as one that, where he was always seen as second fiddle, or he
Right.
perceived that he was always second fiddle to Thor, and he just wanted to prove that he just wanted to live up to his title of a god.
Right.
He refers to himself as a god a lot. As you can see, Loki is very obsessed with telling people, I am a god. I am from Asgard. I am the god of mischief. Loki is obsessed with this title, and the whole reason he does these things is to live up to that title. Like Thor, he's very similar to his brother, where Thor is like, I have to live up to this title. But eventually, Thor realizes that I have to go on my own journey. It's not about me being the god of thunder. It's just I have to follow my own path.
Well,
Loki eventually realizes that, but
yeah, well, that's what you're talking about to Thor. That was Thor's whole arc in Endgame with his talk with Frigga, and then with him passing over the throne of Asgard to Valkyrie, is that he's not going to try to be who he has to be, but who he needs to be. No, he's not going to try to be who he's supposed to be. He's going to be who he is.
Yeah,
and to him, that's God of Thunder, not King of Asgard, but someone who just goes around saving people. So
the Asgardians, with the Guardians,
the Asgardians of the galaxy.
Right.
So, which again, I'm all for that. That Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 should have been labeled as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Like, I always thought about how devastating the snap would have been. Like, what if it happened right now? 3.5 billion people just disappeared. I was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, Asgard just was like, hey, Earth, we're gonna move in probably like billions of people to your planet if you don't mind. Just to think, they had half of their people wiped out on the ship from Thanos, then had probably the other half snapped away.
Right.
Like
And we don't
poor
know how many
Asgard,
people. We don't know how many people died with
right?
Hela.
Right. So
And
that's
Surtur could have killed people.
right. So it's like, um,
That planet, those people. If you lived through all of that, I applaud you as an
right.
Asgardian. If you lived
Like,
through half the population killings, you lived through the goddess of death, you lived through a giant red rage monster. I applaud you if you lived through that.
then you go to all places, but you get Earth.
You go to Norway. Not even a good spot on Earth. Norway.
Like, which is funny because I would have thought, oh, maybe like so Earth can compensate. Like, hey, maybe they don't make Asgard a part of Norway. They make it its own country. But no, it has to be a part of Norway.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, like,
well, it makes sense. Norse mythology.
yeah, I mean, I get it from that point of view, but like, you know what they honestly just should have done? Just had the ship floating near Earth. I mean, it probably would have ran out of fuel, but you're right next to Earth. You can refuel right there. So
my question is when that ship landed, what were people thinking? Like,
what if everybody on Earth was like, "We have an enemy invader! We have an invader! Help!" And then to see Thanos' ship arrive right after it. Well, no. Now that I think about it, the ship was blown up. So all of
right.
those Asgardians were from the headmaster or whatever his name is, whoever Jeff Goldblum plays, his
Yeah.
ship, and then a few other ships that escaped before Thanos arrived. We see them flying away in the beginning of Infinity War. You can just see them barely off to the side flying away. So to think, like, how did you get that many people off? Like, everyone must have been like just like shoulder to shoulder like this. It'll be comfortable in a few months.
Because that ship doesn't look very big.
No, it does. It barely, like, it maybe at max could fit 30 people.
I don't know, man.
And there's no way that all of Tonsberg got basically converted to Asgard, or New Asgard. Like, I find it so crazy. Like,
imagine going from living on Asgard to living in Norway.
like, could you imagine, like, you're on Asgard, one of the wealthiest planets of all time, to go into Earth, to go into Norway of all places. Look, we love Norway.
Not New York City, not Los Angeles, Miami, Paris, Rome, Norway.
Norway. Oh, Thor, why would you pick Norway? Why did you pick Norway?
Because his dad loved it.
Well, no, he said, well, Odin said, this could be Asgard. Which, like, if you think about it, the worthy enchant is still on Mjolnir after Hela breaks it. Could you imagine if everyone goes back and they just see the hammer back on the ground? They're like, oh, not again. Because of the whole thing in Mexico when it first got in there. The whole government's like, not this shit again. Like, someone keeps losing their hammer, and it's pretty heavy. Like, I wonder what would happen if they weighed Mjolnir. Like, how much do you think it would weigh?
Probably a lot.
I think what if it only weighed like 50 pounds? And everyone's like, well, why can't we pick this thing up? 50 pounds ain't nothing. That's like a small child.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say this. I don't
Okay.
like the TVA. I know this. I
Either.
just
They're
deviate.
really sus. And
I don't like.
I really thought that whole DB Cooper thing. I really thought we were going to see Thor. I really wanted to see Thor.
I was like. I was like. It was like. Heimdall, Thor,
You better be
be
ready.
ready. That was a great Tom Hiddleston impression I just did.
No,
I tried to act like Loki the whole day.
I know you
An
did.
ant doesn't have a quarrel with a boot.
See, my TikTok responses, you keep saying that you were Loki. They were always peak. No, this is Patrick.
I am Loki.
No, it's Patrick.
I am Loki. You, by the way, you keep knocking into your
I
shelf a
know.
lot. I can
Dude,
just see stuff shaking.
I'm gonna rearrange it after we get off this call.
I
But
am Loki of
Asgard.
Asgard, and I have been burdened with a glorious purpose.
Someone in Mongolian. Who are you?
I really thought somebody said, yeah, somebody said that it's. I thought it was actually the same spot that Tony lost his armor.
Nah, no,
It's not,
it's not.
but it's close.
It would have been cool. Would have been a cool
But it's
connection.
really weird that Loki has the space stone, and out of all places,
He goes to
lands in
Mongolia.
he lands in Mongolia. We've seen the space stone be used by Thanos to literally travel from Titan to
planet.
Earth, and this dude Loki's just like
Don't go to
Mongolia.
Mongolia of all places. What if that's where Asgard was? Mongolia. Like, dude, to sort of go back to that topic of Asgard going to Earth. What do you think the conversation was like? Hey, I'm from I'm from
Do
California.
Asgardians actually live longer than humans, right? But
Yeah.
they look like us.
Yeah. So what if they were like, "Hey, I'm from Florida. Where are you from?" "I'm from Asgard." "You're from where?" "I've never heard of that place."
Is that in Sweden?
No, it's in. Yeah, is that in Sweden? No, it's in Tonsberg, Norway. We just added it to the map.
Now this is the show I need. I need the show about regular people before the snap.
No, I need it, but during the snap. Like what
During
happened?
yeah,
What happened during those 5 years?
because what happens if right now, like you were saying, like one of us just disappears?
Yeah, like here's the thing: is when I talk to people about the snap, people are so like, I don't mean to make this sound rude, so narrow-minded about what it really was like. Like to think, like people think, oh, there's 10 people in a room. The snap happens, 5 of them go away. No, that's not what happens. Literally, all 10 could go away. One
Yeah.
could go away. None could.
What
go
happens? What happens if right now Thanos snapped and both of us disappeared? This broadcast would never end.
Right, it'd be the never-ending podcast.
We would just talk about Loki episode 1 forever. We would never.
So, like, to also like think about it.
By the way, if you were in an airplane during that the snap, I feel really bad for you. So sorry.
How many plane crashes happen? Like we see one happen in Infinity War, even though that was a helicopter, but still.
No, I'm just talking about when they get snapped back. Like they literally fall to their deaths.
Yeah, come on, Avengers! You did more bad than good.
I mean,
like, if you think about it, like that's only what we're seeing on Earth. What if you were
this happened all over the universe?
What if you were flying in a spaceship in the middle of space? Well, guess what?
Just dead.
You're dead. Like, what? What if all of a sudden you're on a boat, right? And you snap away, and your dust goes into the water, like deep into the water. And you get unsnapped, and you're at the fucking bottom of the ocean.
This is messed up.
Oh no! What do you do? Do you try to swim to the top?
I dead.
You're dead. The air pressure down there is this thing is like too high or whatever. You're gonna die.
No, what if you're in Australia and it goes to like the Mariana Trench?
Right.
Like this is like no, and there's like thousands of people that like appear in the Mariana Trench and they just all die instantly.
Right, dude. No, you're in Australia.
So many messed up things.
Yes, like maybe the Avengers did a lot of good, but you have to think at least a million
What if
people
you're
died.
skydiving?
Right. You're going into a place where it was an open field where people skydived and they put a fucking building there. Through the building.
Thanos, yo, that is messed up.
Like
The
what?
guys that crashed the helicopter with Nick Fury, when they
Mhm.
get snapped back, they literally fall, just fall, flat face first in New York.
Yeah. Maybe they have respawn protection. I don't. Oh my gosh. They have
What if
respawn
you're
protection. Come on,
what if
Drew.
somebody else is living in your house?
What if you just get snapped back into a wall?
Like inside of a wall.
Yes.
What if you're trapped in a wall? You're trapped
Right.
inside.
Like,
I don't remember this being here.
I don't know, where did the rest of my body go? Um, dude, you know what would be happening? Like, if you're in a hospital bed, you get snapped away, and it's coming back, and a woman's about to give birth, and you get snapped back. Oh my god! We're merged together. We're having this baby together. Like, here's the thing: is when they come back, like, are they going to be where their ashes were or where their dust was? Like, you have to think, like, what if their dust got blown away so far that, like, you have some of their dust, like, all the way over here and then all the way over here. So you're just like, you have all of it everywhere. Are they just going to, like, are they just going to come together and form?
Yeah, I don't know. And
Like,
listen, Endgame, listen, okay. We've talked about everything but Loki for the last 40
no,
minutes, but that's okay.
It all connects to Loki.
Yeah, it does. So
Because
the last thing
Loki was the bitch that gave him the space stone.
the last thing I want to talk about is I think Tom Hiddleston's best scene is Loki, and he's had a lot of good scenes where we see the emotional weight.
Mm-hmm.
Loki goes back into the room, sees his life play out before him. He sees his mother's death, which is terrible because Loki was a mama's boy. Uh, and he's like, "Oh, this is awful." You could see him crying
Mm-hmm.
or trying to hold back the tears, but he's sad. And then we see the happiest, or we see his father's death next. He's terribly sad by that. And then we see his relationship with Thor. Thor and him are friends, and he's happy. You could see the smile on his face
And then he
as they,
dies.
and then we see the awful death, where we barely hear his neck snap in Infinity War, but it's pulsified here.
Face boosted in the show.
And you just hear crack, and it's just like I'm like, wow, that's dark. And then the tape just ends.
Yeah,
and Loki
it says something like
end of tape.
End of file or whatever.
Yeah,
It's just like, could you imagine that, dude? Oh my god.
Loki literally saw his life flash before his eyes,
Literally, like quite literally. Like,
and he's just like blessed with glorious purpose. And I think that line has deeper meaning now, because Morbius says, "You bring out the best in people." You know what Loki's purpose was in his timeline? Was to bring out the best in the Avengers. Loki created the Avengers. That was his glorious purpose.
That's even what what's it called? Like when he showed him Coulson's death. Like,
yeah.
Didn't you like basically make these people come together like to take you down? It's like, yeah, he did that. And
that was Loki's glorious purpose.
He created the Avengers, and it's like I told you, he created the Avengers and then died an Avenger.
I don't say that. I okay, that's fair.
I do, because like he died an Avenger because he died trying to protect Thor.
You think if he got back to Earth, he would have been an Avenger?
I do.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: is they accepted Hawkeye back as an Avenger. So
Hawkeye was brainwashed.
No, I'm talking about after he became Ronin.
Okay, true.
Which, like, dude, to the Russos, you can have my middle finger. Why would you name him after an already pre-existing character?
Yeah, true.
Because we have Ronin from Guardians 1. So it's like, you know what? I see how it is, Russos. You want to confuse me with the timeline thing? Fine. but now you want to name him after someone else. Not fine. Not Poggers. Not Poggers. That wasn't okay.
So basically, what was I gonna say? Okay, my follow-up question is: we know that Loki's gonna get a second season. That's been confirmed.
Yep.
Do you think by the end, Loki is forced to go back to his timeline and die?
Obviously,
You think so?
he has to. I think it's only going to be a 2-season show. I don't see how they could stretch it to be anything but that. And I think that season 1 is going to be his failure to stop Lady Loki, and season 2 is going to be about fixing it. Kind of spoilers, I guess, for Arrow, even though this came out like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Season 1 ended with Oliver Queen failing to stop what happened in his city. And season 2 was about him basically reforming to make sure that doesn't happen again. So that's what I think is going to happen here. Because here's the thing: is I think it'd be a really boring story if he succeeds. Because then it's like, where do you go from here? What's the importance of a season 2 if you win? That's like something that I always say is, one of the most like successful villains, and he doesn't get his credit, is Ultron. Ultron was by far one of the most successful villains. Not only was one of his missions to destroy Earth, like he destroyed an entire country. But not only that, his whole thing was that he felt the Avengers needed to be destroyed. And he damn well created a huge split down the Avengers, and then Zemo kind of just like finished it off for him. So it's just like that of, why make this huge deal out of what Lady Loki has been doing just to succeed in the first season? It wouldn't make sense. And where do you go for not only season 2, who do you make as a bigger villain?
Right, because also, to add on to that a little bit, it would just be Loki carrying out the Time Variance Authority's job, and it would be just the status quo. The TVA prevents the multiverse from happening. If we ended the first season with Lady Loki succeeding,
then it would make sense.
Because then that kind of sets up the fact that the multiverse is in madness, and it sets up villains from other multiverses: Green Goblin, Electro, Dr. Octopus.
I mean, it's basically been confirmed. We're gonna get the Sinister Six finally on the big screen. We're gonna get them most likely.
Toby and Andrew are in that movie. It's happening. Toby and Andrew are in that movie.
Yeah. So that to me is screaming Sinister Six. And what if Lady Loki's one of those 6?
I doubt it.
I mean, I don't. I mean, let's see. We would have, let's say, Green Goblin is confirmed. Dr. Ock, Electro, Vulture.
No, it's.
I know who the Sinister Six are, but I'm just saying who we have right now. I'm trying to think of.
No. It's Goblin. This is confirmed. Goblin, Electro, Doc Ock, Sandman, Rhino.
Vulture?
No, it's not Vulture.
Yeah, Vulture's a part of them. You can see his wings in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get who.
Here, I can see him real fast.
No. Okay. The rumored Sinister Six in No Way Home is Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, and the Lizard, Electro, and Rhino.
Yeah, so
the actual, 3 villains.
Here, hold on. So the actual Sinister Six are Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, Electro, Vulture, and Mysterio.
Well, now, there's a lot of different. There's multiple.
That's the core version that most stories run with, is those 6. Right. But I think we're gonna, of course, have alterations because Mysterio's dead. So you kind of can't have Mysterio be okay. He's most likely dead. We don't know if he actually died or not.
He's not dead.
I think he's dead. I feel because it'd be like, why bring him back? That kind of undermines his whole point to expose him.
Okay. And we know Vulture is
alive. We know that for sure.
Vulture's alive, and we
know Scorpion's
he's
also out there too.
Yeah, and we know Vulture's in Morbius, which is not a MCU property. It's Sony or Disney, excuse me.
Which is going to be so confusing. Like,
because is Morbius a part of Tom's?
So yes, so they want to include Tom as the Spider-Man in that. But the problem with that is Tom Holland is the MCU Spider-Man. So by guilty of association, any story that they have with Tom Holland as Spider-Man is going to be MCU canon because that's Spider-Man for the MCU. It'd be really weird to be like, not MCU canon for that.
It would make more sense if Venom and Morbius and Kraven all fit into the MCU.
I feel like it's kind of weird that we still haven't seen a Venom in the MCU yet.
Oh, we will.
I feel like we have to.
There was rumors that Tom Holland was supposed to be in Venom 3. I think that's what's going to happen. But the thing with this Venom is, I don't know how you make him like an enemy of Spider-Man. Because like right now, Venom...
He's a good guy.
Well, I would say he's a good guy, but he's an anti-hero. He's just... Venom has resentment towards Spider-Man. I couldn't see this Venom having that type of like hatred for Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, seeing, like, I think what's going to happen is I think Lady Loki has to succeed, open the multiverse. That would be the only way that I can see them really explaining why Tom Holland appearing in other things like Morbius or Venom, why those wouldn't be MCU canon. Be like, oh, because they actually hope it happened in a different universe. I don't know.
It's weird to me. The thing that's weird to me is like that there's no multiverse. So there's no multiverse currently.
Well, here's the thing is if according to the TVA, if what they're saying is correct, then Lady Loki has to win. Because then that's how Multiverse of Madness happens. But I don't think that she will do it alone. And this is where I think my biggest theory is going to come into mind. I think that Lady Loki might work with Wanda to open up the multiverse.
It's a hot take.
I think it not only makes sense. We now know that Loki is tying into WandaVision. So I could maybe see Wanda appearing in the show. Here's the thing. The reason why I say that, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki were all filming around the same time.
Maybe.
Because I watched this interview with Tom Hiddleston, Sebastian Stan.
Oh, it was yesterday, right?
Yes. And Anthony Mackie was talking about how Tom Hiddleston went on like a Loki tangent with these people about writing Loki. So I could easily see them writing in Wanda into this. Like seeing Cap or Bucky, I don't see happening because that happens in 2023. But Wanda, I could see it happening. I could see it.
Maybe.
Because again, we know she's in Multiverse of Madness. We know
Do we think Loki is in Multiverse of Madness?
I unfortunately feel like he has to be.
Let's go.
I think he has to be.
I agree.
This whole story is about him helping the TVA make sure that Lady Loki
would be so happy.
Destroy the sacred timeline. Oh boy, this is gonna be a big can of worms if this happens.
And you know what's all setting up? It's all setting up Secret Wars. We're gonna have a multiversal war, and Alex is good.
So many wars are happening.
Alex is
So
gonna freak out.
so many wars are happening.
We got the war between the Wakandans and the Atlanteans, probably
Right?
in
Yeah.
Black Panther too. Uh,
Yes.
we got whatever the Guardians are gonna be doing. The Guardians are just gonna be vibing. Drax is gonna
Dude,
die.
Rocket's gonna die.
Drax and Rocket are gonna die.
Yes. Well, the only reason why I think those two are gonna die is Dave Bautista said he doesn't want to play Drax after Guardians 3.
Well,
And
Drax's story is basically over as it
yeah,
is.
Thanos is dead, so it's like, why does it matter? And then what's it called? James Gunn said he was really excited to wrap up Rocket's arc. And if you're wrapping someone's arc up, that kind of sounds like you're killing them.
What do you do with Peter Quill?
Send him with Thor or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like they all have to die. I guess.
Yeah. Dude, like they've all played their part. Like they played their part in the Avengers. They played their part in Guardians 1 and 2. So who cares now? Who cares about them?
Right.
I think they've served their story well. I think their purpose is over. And I think they should stay dead when they die. Stop bringing people back to life.
Technically, nobody is dead with the multiverse.
I guess. Which we know that they are talking about bringing Chris Evans back for Captain America. But why?
Because it's Chris Evans.
Here's the thing: is there's only one stance, and it's actually funny that I bring this up because in 30 days, Black Widow comes out. So this makes sense because they're not telling a story of her being resurrected. This is about her after Civil War. Before
no resurrections this time.
Yes, please, no resurrections. Because, like, here's the thing: is Loki's death feels undermined because of the show. Sorry to say it. It's what I feel. I feel like his death means nothing now because they just brought him back to life. I'm sorry, they didn't bring him back to life, but
I felt like his first two deaths meant nothing too, but they brought him back and they improved his character, so I don't care. My take on it is I agree. The premise of bringing back a character who is dead is dumb, but if you improve on the story, I'm not going to complain. Loki has died literally 3 times now, and they keep progressing the story and making it better. It works. Darth Maul, same thing. Boba Fett, so far, the same thing. Palpatine? No, that's how you don't do it. There's my little rant on it. You like that take?
If you never read the books, then Palpatine's doesn't make sense.
I don't care about books. Sorry. Listen, I know some of my mutuals on the app love to talk about the High Republic, the comics. That's cool that you love that stuff. I don't care. It's insignificant. It could get retconned or changed at any time. It's very apparent that Dave Filoni doesn't care about that stuff because presumably that Rancor in Episode 5 is the Rancor from Return of the Jedi.
It's already been confirmed that it's not the same Rancor.
It's the show.
Literally, not only is the Rancor from Return of the Jedi name different, look different.
Who cares? Why? But the show, the person who wrote the episode says that's the intent.
What?
The person who wrote the episode said that was the intention.
When did this happen? Because I have not heard about this.
I'm gonna try to pull it up. But that would make the most sense.
Star Wars.
Wow, that would make the most sense.
I don't think it would.
Why not?
They don't look alike. That'd be like saying, all right, we need a movie about me, but what we're gonna do is
they don't look alike. That's that. Well, it's a Rancor.
Here, hear me out. We need a movie based around me. So what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna make. I'm gonna be the actor in it, but then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a prequel to it, and we're gonna have you when you're younger play younger me.
Okay. Why not? I didn't understand.
Why not just have me play it, and so I can actually look like who I'm supposed to be?
Well, it appears that the show writer deleted that tweet, but she did say that.
That was the intention. Did she now? Did she now?
That's the intention. She deleted it probably because she was told to. That's the intention.
I didn't see that. I didn't hear any news outlets report that. I haven't
We
seen.
always you don't keep up with the news like I do. That's my
I
job.
do. I've been watching. I've been looking out on Twitter. I've been looking out everywhere. I have not. I did not see that. No screenshot. No nothing.
Okay. Well,
Zilp zach or zilp zitch nada.
But-
Zero.
doesn't matter. I think we're gonna wrap this up because now we're
Alright.
talking about a different universe, a totally different.
Star Wars versus Marvel. Who wins? Marvel.
All right, we're not doing this, guys. All right.
Marvel. Marvel.
Yeah, probably.
No, Star Wars. Literally, Palpatine versus Thanos with the gauntlet. Palpatine still wins.
Probably. I'd say Vader still wins with the gauntlet, or if Thanos
literally-
has the gauntlet.
No. Literally, they're like, oh, all Thanos would have to do is snap his fingers. Palpatine could legit break his hand.
Yeah.
Because literally all Palpatine has to do is
I have
just
a
break
bias
every
towards
single
Star
focus.
Wars, so I like
Exactly.
Star Wars. But
Be biased. We're biased, okay?
anyways, yeah, Loki also connects to the Mandalorian. If you didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it also connects to the Flash.
It totally does. It connects to. It also connects to
The Boys.
the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah. The Boys, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
It also connects to my porno that I just shot.
Okay. I don't know. What a way to end the episode. All right, guys. I don't have any fans, so this ain't gonna get monetized anyways. All right, guys. Thank you for watching Wars in the Stars, episode 10. I'm gonna have to edit this because StreamYard hit the fan.
I hit
Alex.
my shelf again.
I saw that. Alex, tell them where they can find you.
Candy in my van on TikTok. Don't look up my porn. Just don't do that. Yeah, follow me on there. Follow me on Instagram too. Candy isn't in my van, and then Candy isn't in my van. I'm gonna be posting Mark 85 update soon.
Okay, that's awesome. You guys can follow me at Hand Me to Man on obviously here on Twitch. If you're seeing this on YouTube, at Drew H, subscribe. You're seeing this on a Thursday night.
Yep.
For Loki. If you're on YouTube. If you want to watch these shows live for Loki, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, next 6 weeks. Bad Batch for the next 10 weeks. We'll be live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Don't forget about Black Widow.
And then Black Widow is in a month. We don't know the schedule for that yet. That's a little too far out. But, yeah. And, by the way, follow our podcast page at Wars in the Stars where I get all the likes.
No, my video promoting got a lot, so don't even. They're too even with that.
Did you see how much I got?
No, I don't pay
Today.
attention. I don't pay attention to the account.
Yeah, but yeah, great. That's fantastic.
No, I mean, I do, but like...
Yours got 7 likes, and mine yesterday got 33.
You know what? It'd be like that sometimes, you know?
I don't get it. You actually visually showed where the podcast is. I just say it.
Yeah. You know what? I'll just die instead.
Oh, that's great. All right, guys. Thank you for watching Wars in the Stars. We reviewed Loki for like a quarter of the show, and then we talked about the snap.
Podcasting, dude, is about talking.
Yeah, it is. We will see you all Friday to talk about a show that we're less excited for. Where we're probably going to be disappointed by Lucasfilm somehow.
Don't worry, I'll be introing that one.
Again, this outro is taking forever. Who cares?
All right.
Peace out, everybody.